So what is a quadratic equation? A quadratic equation is an equation that can be written in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So the key here, it's not just, it doesn't have to be exactly in the form. The key is that the highest exponent is 2, or highest exponent on the variable. And that's what makes it quadratic. Now you have to be careful because things can be quadratic if before and just not be simplified all the way. So we could have something like x times x plus 2 equals 5. That is quadratic because when you distribute, you get x squared plus 2x equals 5. So you have to look at it after you do any distributing to determine whether it's quadratic or not. Now, the x squared plus 2x equals 5 is not in the form that we're given, but if I subtract 5 from both sides, then it is. So that's why we say it can be written in that form. And then because the highest exponent is 2, this is called a second degree polynomial equation because the degree of the polynomial is 2. And we talked about degree briefly in P.3. Okay, so because there are 4 different methods for solving quadratic equations, a lot of people get confused on which one they should use. And so I've made this little chart, and I'm going to zoom in so that we can see it a little better. So you've got a quadratic, and you need to have it in form in order to determine which one you're going to do. So if you're trying to get vertex form, then you would complete the square. But we usually only use it to get vertex form or use it when you get into pre-calculus and calculus. It's handy. Otherwise, if you're trying to solve, then you want to check the form that it's in to determine which method is good. So the first form, if we have ax squared plus bx equals 0, so there's no constant term. That is something that you can factor, so you want to factor that. Second form is ax squared plus c equals 0, so there's no term, there's no bx term is gone. To do that, you want to extract square roots. And then if you have all 3 terms, then you need to check something that's called the discriminant to determine if it's factorable or not. The discriminant is b squared minus 4ac, and you plug in the numbers from the form ax squared plus bx plus c. You plug in those constants and the coefficients, and then figure out, you follow the order of operations to check the discriminant. So if the discriminant is a perfect square, which means you can take the square root of it, then that means you can factor this. And in fact, I would recommend factoring because it is usually faster. If it's not something you can take the square root of, then use the quadratic formula. So hopefully this will help you determine which method you should use when you are solving. And so maybe this out would be helpful, whatever you need to do.